Hey there, in this video we are going to solve this rational inequality, and I am going to try to focus on some common pitfalls and common mistakes that are made when solving rational inequalities to hopefully help you eliminate some common errors. First off, on the left side here, this is a rational expression. And remember, what makes it rational is that it is division of two polynomials. I always say it is a poly over a poly, or a polynomial divided by a polynomial, and that's what makes this a rational expression. Second off, we have greater than or equal to here, which means that this is an inequality. So we are not solving an equation. This is not equal to 0, but rather we're trying to find the values of x that when we substitute them into the rational expression on the left side, they're going to produce outputs that are positive. When we say we want values greater than 0, then we want to essentially end up with positive values in the end. So first, let's talk about some common errors. A lot of times people see this division and they think that they want to undo that division by multiplying by what's in the denominator. So you might be thinking that it would be logical to multiply both sides by x plus 3. And truthfully, that would be perfectly legal mathematically if we were solving an equation rather than an inequality. If we were to multiply both sides by x plus 3, we would need to remember that we do not know the value of x. So we don't know whether x represents a positive number or a negative number. Remember, when you solve inequalities, such as, an example, x divided by negative 3 is greater than or equal to 0, if you solve an inequality and you either multiply or divide by a negative, so in this case, for example, if I were to multiply both sides by negative 3, I have to remember to flip the inequality sign. So in this example, our answer would be x is less than or equal to, and 0 times negative 3 would be 0. So whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality sign must flip. So back to our example. Since we do not know the value of x, we don't know whether we are multiplying both sides by a positive number or by a negative number. And that's why this is going to be illegal. You cannot multiply both sides of an inequality by a variable because you do not know the value of the variable. You don't know whether it represents a positive number or a negative number, and that is going to impact whether or not the inequality symbol flips. So common error number 1 is multiplying both sides by x plus 3. We cannot do that. What we need to do instead is determine the values of x that may cause this rational expression to change sign, to change either from positive to negative or from negative to positive. And I always think graphically. If you were to think graphically about a function of any type, for example, if I had a function that looked like this, you'll notice that this function starts out with negative y values, and then the y values change to positive y values, and they change sign right there at an x-intercept. So graphically, we know that an x-intercept is a possible place where the y values can change from negative to positive or vice versa. Now, it's worth noting that you don't have to have a change in sign. For example, you could have a function do something like this, where you can see that my y values begin negative, but then they remain negative, even though we did end up with an x-intercept. There wasn't a change in sign around that x-intercept. So this is why x-intercepts are places on the graph where the y values might change sign. However, x-intercepts are not the only places on a graph where the y values might change sign. Consider graphs that have vertical asymptotes, for example. So let's say we have a graph that may look like this. So if we look at the left branch, we see that these y values are positive. And if we look at the right-hand branch, we see that these y values are negative. So notice you had a vertical asymptote, and the y values are different signs on either side of that vertical asymptote. So in general, x-intercepts and vertical asymptotes are potential places where a graph might change sign. The y values might change sign from negative to positive or from positive to negative. So back to our original problem, we need to find the values of x that will cause this entire rational expression to equal 0. Graphically, we would think of these as the x-intercepts. So I'm changing my inequality sign to an equal sign because I want to find the values of x that will cause this expression to equal 0. Now, here it is okay to go ahead and multiply both sides by x plus 3 because I'm finding where this will equal 0. So essentially, we're left with just the numerator. And some textbooks actually tell you just to set the numerator equal to 0. But I like you to understand why you're choosing the numerator, because the numerator equaling 0 will cause the entire expression to equal 0. Now this is quadratic, so we're going to go ahead and factor. We'll factor out a greatest common factor of x. That'll leave me with x times negative 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Then remember, we have two factors here. We have x, and then that's multiplied by negative 2x plus 1. So we have to set each of those factors equal to 0. And if we continue solving, we'll get x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1/2. So these are the zeros, or the values of x, that will cause the output to equal 0. Graphically, these would be the x-intercepts. But we just discussed that a graph could also change sign. The y values could change from positive to negative or vice versa around a vertical asymptote. In other words, that would be a place where this function was undefined. So that's why we also need to look at that denominator and recognize that the denominator cannot equal 0. In fact, this would be an x value. If x were equal to negative 3, we would have an undefined expression because we'd have division by 0. Graphically, remember, x equals negative 3 would be the vertical asymptote. So once you have found the zeros, as well as the values of x that cause the expression to be undefined, then we need to test around those values. We consider these our boundary points. So negative 3, 0, and positive 1/2, we call those the boundary points. And then we want to do a little sign analysis. In other words, we want to test values around these three values because we're very interested in outputs that are ultimately going to be positive. So we'll choose some test values. So I want to test a number smaller than negative 3, let's say negative 4, something between negative 3 and 0, like negative 1, between 0 and 1/2, how about 1/4, and then larger than 1/2, how about 1? So these four values are going to be my test values, and we are testing them by substituting them back into the left-hand side, the rational expression, to see whether or not we get a positive or a negative output. Now, because we already did the work on the left-hand side here and we factored the numerator already, I'm going to use the factored form for testing. So we have the numerator, which is really x times negative 2x plus 1. That's all divided by x plus 3. So this is the expression that I'm going to use for my testing. So if I am going to test negative 4, I'm substituting in negative 4 for x. So I would have negative 4. And then I'm substituting negative 4 in for x here as well. So negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Positive 8 plus 1 is 9. Now, truthfully, we don't even care about the actual values. We just care that we have a negative times a positive. And then in the denominator, if we substitute in negative 4 plus 3, we'll get negative 1. So we're dividing by a negative. So ultimately, we will end up with a positive. And that means that any value smaller than negative 3, so that would be negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, any number that you could pick, smaller than negative 3, is going to return to you an output that is positive. So now let's test negative 1. And let's do that without actually computing the value, but just keep track of the sign. So if I substitute in negative 1 for x, I'm going to have a negative. If I'm substituting negative 1 in here, negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2, plus 1 is a positive. and then substituting -1 into the denominator, -1 plus 3 will be positive as well. So overall, this yields a negative answer. Now we'll test positive 1/4. So we're substituting in 1/4 for x. So we will have a positive. Now we'll have -2 times a positive 1/4 plus 1 in the numerator. So that's going to be -1/2 plus 1, which is ultimately going to be a positive. Then in the denominator, when we substitute in 1/4, we'll have 1/4 plus 3, which is overall positive. So 1/4 is going to give us a positive output. Lastly, we'll test positive 1. So we will have a positive. -2 times positive 1 is -2, plus 1 is negative, and the denominator, 1 plus 3, is 4, and that's positive. So overall, we'll have a negative. Now this is sign analysis. We're analyzing the signs, whether we have positives or negatives. And then going back to the very original inequality, which said we wanted to have values greater than or equal to 0, tells us we're going to choose the positive outputs, the intervals that give us positive numbers. So that's going to be all the numbers smaller than -3 and the numbers between 0 and 1/2. So therefore, we're looking at the x interval from -infinity to -3. Now look at our workup here. We said that x can never equal -3 because it's going to cause the denominator to equal 0. So we are not going to include -3, which means we'll use a parenthesis. So we're not including -3, and union that with all of the values between 0 and 1/2. Looking back at our work, remember that 1/2 and 0, these were values that would cause the expression to equal 0. And because our inequality says we want to find values greater than or equal to 0, we will use brackets on both 0 and 1/2 so that we include them in our solution set. So all of the x values that are from -infinity to -3 and between 0 and 1/2 inclusive, those are going to be x values that will ultimately give us values that end up being greater than or equal to 0 or positive in the end. So I hope that helps you with rational inequalities. They are really important as you move on in math, especially in calculus, because in calculus we do a lot with objects and throwing objects in the air or watching where the objects go to the right or to the left. So we're constantly looking at where velocity is greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 0. So solving inequalities, it really is useful as you move on in your calculus sequence.